Hey everybody, welcome to Healthy TV episode 19. And I'm really excited about today. We're actually going to talk about how to boost your immune system. Really big topic in the practice this week. People asking about different ways that they can avoid colds and flus throughout the winter. And I thought, what a great topic to dive into tonight. And so I'm going to go through 5 key strategies that you can apply, really easy, simple strategies that you can apply to actually boost your immune system starting tomorrow. Some of these steps are so easy that you can literally, it's not going to require a whole lot of time or energy. It's just going to require a bit of habit change. These are all things that I've used in the past for myself, and I'm proud to say I have I'm probably the strongest immune system ever of my life at this stage. And I think a lot of us are actually, there's a lot of fear around getting sick throughout the winter, and that I understand that, but of course it's just annoying. It's kind of irritating when you get sick. If you got a cold, it slows you down, lose your energy. You can kind of particularly if you've got lots of stuff on the go, if you've got a family at home, that seems to be the biggest concern. We see a lot of families at the wellness group, and that the fact that people are concerned. Oh well, if one family member gets sick, then that means everybody's going to get sick. And that's what I'm actually going to start off is giving you a bit of a framework to think about your immune system and how we get, how we actually fall sick. And so it is really, I'm going to keep this really brief, understanding that the immune system is super complex. Okay, and then I'm going to dive into the 5 steps to maximize or boost your immune system. I think a really important first concept to understand is that your immune system is active all the time. It's running behind the scenes. It's kind of a background app, if you want to think about it. And it's constantly really operating to remove any bad cells in your body, but it also operates to break down any old cells, any cells that are that actually your own cells that are maybe not operating at their best. And so it's actually the immune system that goes around, and it actually eats up those cells and helps to regenerate new cells. And it all, we often think about our immune system simply as the part of the body that the part of our physiology, I guess, that is just there to protect us against bad stuff, right? Bacteria and viruses. And but really, in fact, your immune system is responsible for any any old cell regeneration. And so that's I think an important place to start. And there's no such thing as too strong an immune system. It's actually, I analogize it to self-esteem, often back and forth, but we can't have, there's no such thing as having too strong a self-esteem. There's no such thing as having too strong of an immune system. And when you get exposed to pathogens, so that would be like bacteria and viruses, I think we often think, well, it's kind of outside of my control. I just, the guy at work coughed on me and I got exposed to the bacteria, and, of course now I'm going to get sick. And if you fall sick, then that just helps to really perpetuate that misunderstanding that bacteria just jumped into your body and your body, and you got sick, right? It starts to grow and it creates the symptoms and you get sick. That's actually, I think a bit of a simplified version of what happens. I'll give you my understanding of it. Of course, I'm not an immunologist, but the way I look at it is that really the reality is we're surrounded by bacteria and viruses all the time, right? There's likely, I've been exposed to various flu viruses already this year, lots of different bacteria that has the potential to cause a problem. But what it comes down to is that if 2 individuals are exposed to the same virus, the same bacteria, it's going to come down to the strength of their immune system, whether their body is able to manage that, deal with it, keep the bacteria contained to fight off the virus, or if it's going to be overwhelmed. And there's certain key things that lead your body to become overwhelmed. I think the biggest, to keep it general, the most important concept to get is that when your body is under a lot of chronic stress, if you're in a constant stress response, meaning that your body's in a state of protection all the time, then that's actually when you're most susceptible, because stress itself actually diminishes the activity of your immune system. puts a big brake on your immune system, and that goes back to really, if we transport ourselves back 10,000 years ago, our stress response was really to help us survive, and it would be in response to things like, fighting off a tiger or a lion or another human, perhaps, or dealing with things like starvation or extreme colds. And so our ability to survive meant we had to take energy and allocate it to the most important systems. So if you're fighting off an animal, it's like all the energy went to the muscles so that you could do that, so you could survive. And the point is that when you're in a stress response, your body actually takes energy away from things like your immune system, your digestive system, and your cell regeneration, and it allocates it to the most important systems to help you survive. Now, in the current, modern day context, our body still has the same methodology. It still has the same way of responding to stress. It's just that the types of stress have changed dramatically. So let's say you're sitting all day. That's quite stressful physically. Let's say you're then choosing to do types of exercise, like you're doing chronic cardiovascular exercise, so that's very stressful. Then maybe you're having some challenges at home. Maybe there's some financial stress. So all these things pile up, and they really result in your immune system being diminished. So there's this big brake on your immune system. So the first step is really to take stock of what's your stress load, and then is there any ways that you can mitigate some of that stress? Is any of it unnecessary? Are you piling on additional stress that you don't require, that's not adding value to your life, it's taking away? And if it's optional, then try and do your best to remove that. What I'm going to talk about, these 5 steps, are actually ways to improve your body's ability to adapt to stress, so that your body spends less time in the stress response, meaning then your immune system will be able to be active at a more consistent rate. Does that make sense? So these things are actually, I think, more appropriately, I'm going to discuss things that help to improve your body's ability to adapt to stress versus boost your immune system. But the headline is more eye-catching if I refer to boosting your immune system. Okay, so what are these 5 things? These are all, like I mentioned, really simple things that you can do. I'm going to just touch on the key criteria, but if there's any questions that come from any of these, just put it in the comments below. I'll be happy to address them. So number 1, I think one of the easiest things that you can do is just move every day. Get outside if you can. Just make a commitment. You're going to get out and move, exercise for a minimum of 30 minutes per day. Now, for some of you, you think like, oh, that's no problem, I can do that. For others, that may be a big stretch. Maybe you're not doing any exercise at all. And what I would recommend is, for those of you who are maybe struggle to stay committed to exercise, is to maybe remove some of the fear around that and just look at it as movement. You just got to get out and move. And maybe I'll stop saying get outside. This is something you can simply do in your house. If you fall into that category where you're really struggling to do any type of movement or exercise, shoot me a message or put a comment below, and I'm happy to share with you. We have actually a basic mobility program, which would be an excellent way to start to satisfy some of your movement requirements. The way that movement actually, and exercise allows you to, boost your immune system. There's a couple of ways. By increasing it drives your vascular system, so that helps to increase your blood flow. So we also see that there's more white blood cells, which is the immune cells. The numbers actually go up. So there's more of those circulating around to identify, viruses and bacteria. More importantly, though, exercise itself is very stimulating to your nervous system, and it actually has the right kinds of exercise has a way of shifting your body from a stress response to a healing and repair state. And that's really the state that you want to be in order to have a maximized immune system. So specific types of exercise that are, I think, probably the biggest bang for your buck is doing things like short, high intensity, where high intensity is relative to what you can handle. So for some people that might be doing some burpees or push-ups, air squats, doing cycles of, it could be 30 seconds on, 10 seconds off. I'm happy to give you some suggestions, but the concept is short, high intensity. It doesn't need to be a long time. You could easily do a nice high intensity workout in 15 to 20 minutes. Also, just some basic mobility work so that you're helping to maintain healthy tissue. That'll definitely help to boost your immune system as well. So that's number one. I think just incorporating daily movement, daily exercise, and it doesn't have to be a whole lot of time. That will actually help to maximize your immune system. So that's number one. Number two is actually in the same lines as that, is actually to maintain a healthy spine. And of course, as a chiropractor, this is something I think about a lot, but it's probably not something that most of you have really considered. Probably our practice members that are listening, this is a little familiar to you. But we know that when your spine isn't moving properly, that actually has a direct impact on reducing the activity in your brain, which then has a direct impact on reducing the capacity of the brain to control and coordinate the systems of the body, including the immune system. In fact, when your spine's not moving, that is a stressor in and of itself. So that drives the stress response in your body. And so by maintaining the health of your spine, meaning maintaining the movement, quality, and the position of the spine, and its appropriate kind of by design structure, that is a great way to help maintain or optimize your immune system. We know actually there's been some really cool studies done where they've actually measured individuals who are under chiropractic care, and they see a boost in their white blood cell count and also in their ability to respond to pathogens, which is kind of cool. Another study actually looked at people who are really sick, so individuals with HIV, and actually measured those who were under chiropractic care for 6 months, and they showed that they had an increase of almost 50% of their white blood cell count compared to those who were not under chiropractic care. So that's a pretty big boost, and that's a great way, a really easy step for you to take if you're not currently under chiropractic care to just boost your immune system. So that's number two. Number three is, I'm going to check my notes here, is really, I think, in the realm of fuel and eating, nutrition, is that we want to limit sugar. Sugar is the fuel for almost all bacteria, and many viruses actually thrive in a sugar environment. And so if you're consuming a lot of sugar, you're kind of predisposing yourself to housing these bacteria and viruses. And on top of that, sugar is a major stressor to your body. So if you're consuming a lot of sugar, this could be in the forms of, what we think of sugar, like sweetened foods, processed foods, candies, candy bars, that kind of stuff. But also just eating high carbohydrate foods like lots of fruit, things like grains, corn, pastas, breads, those kinds of things as well. They all get broken down into sugar in your body. And so if you're eating a lot of high sugar or high carbohydrate foods, you're really, it's a double whammy. It's stressful for your body, and it's the environment that particularly bacteria thrive in. So great way to avoid that is to reduce sugar consumption, carbohydrate consumption, and increase your quality fat intake. And I can't stress that enough. I've actually done a whole video on increasing your quality fat intake. It's such a important nutrient to be consuming. And when you're eating really healthy fats, it's actually comes packaged with a whole whack of micronutrients. And those micronutrients are essential to build the cells of your immune system. Okay. The other thing I definitely don't want to miss out is consuming lots of nice colorful vegetables. They're super important. Vegetables are also a great source of micronutrients and help to actually maintain sufficiency of those molecules in the body so that you're able to have a healthy immune system. So that's number three. Number four is kind of along the same lines, is to take care of your gut. Now, this is really a new, very emerging science looking at what's called the microbiome. So the health of the gut, meaning the actual bacterial cultures that live in the gut, and are they of correct proportion, and are they operating in a healthy way? The thing about the bacteria in your gut is that they contribute to a whole bunch of stuff, and actually every week, pretty much, where there's new research coming out indicating just how important those little guys are. And one of the key things that they do is they actually act as a communicator between the outside of the food that you're consuming. So it's picking up information, if you want to think about it that way, and it's communicating that to the inside. So it's actually, there's all these transport molecules that are going from bacteria, and they're communicating to your nerve system, and they actually help to, in a large way, they help to control your immune response. You probably don't know this actually, is that your gut actually houses about 80% of all of your immune system. And so it's really, really important that your gut is healthy, and a really easy way to maintain the health of your gut is to make sure that the bacteria are healthy and that you get the right kinds of bacteria. So the action step there is to just take a simple thing, eat fermented foods. So that could be things like sauerkraut, kimchi, drinking kombucha. Could also be other fermented foods that are perhaps part of your culture. The easiest step, though, is just to take a high-quality probiotic, something that I do every morning and evening. And so if you want more information about that and some suggestions of what to look for, just put a comment below and I'll be happy to answer the questions. Okay, so making sure that you got a healthy gut. Actually, one other thing for healing the gut, and it's a great thing in the winter, is making bone broth. And this is something that I'd have a pot of bone broth on almost every week. It tastes delicious, and it's the actual compounds that are leached out of the bones when you cook them slowly over time actually help to heal the gut if there's any damage to the gut done by your past diet. So that's a really easy step as well. So that's kind of a bonus step for you. Take a good quality probiotic and learn how to make bone broth. And actually, I should shout out to Kristen from Eat by Design Coaching. She'd be able to give you a simple, easy action steps to make bone broth. So that's number 4. The last one, step number 5, is actually one that I've talked a lot about, and that's to have really good quality sleep. And the reason why I wanted to end with this one is that ultimately, I mentioned that your immune system is active all the time. When it's most active is when you're in a nice, restful sleep situation. And that's because when you're sleeping, your body's able to allocate all that energy that otherwise would be allocated to other parts of the body to the immune system. So it's the most dominant system that's active when you're sleeping. If you're not getting good quality sleep, whether that's you're waking up a lot, you're not going to bed on time, perhaps it's hard for you to fall asleep, then that's going to have a huge detrimental effect on your immune system's ability to clean house. So you can think about at every night when you go to sleep, your immune system it has a list of stuff it needs to do, and it needs adequate time to do that. So if you compound, let's say you get a couple of nights bad sleep, then that list just starts to add up. And if that gets compounded night after night after night, your immune system really just can't keep up. And ultimately, that's going to lead to some health problems. And sadly, it leads to, at least in part, it can lead to some pretty serious health problems, not just colds and flus. So a great, really easy step for you to do is just to make sure that you're going to bed at the same time every night. And it should be a early time, hopefully, around the 10 p.m. Time. But the most important thing is that it's consistent, so that you're going to sleep at the same time and you're waking up at the same time. In the winter, we tend to sleep a little bit longer. There's a tendency to sleep a little bit longer, and that's okay. And so if you want to sleep with the setting of the sun and the rising of the sun, that'll be a lot of hours. But I know for myself, my goal is to be in bed by 10 p.m. I'm usually up around 5:15, so that gives me adequate sleep. So I think those are the 5 steps. I'll just go through them really quickly again. Movement and exercise daily. Okay, get your spine checked. Make sure that you have a healthy moving spine is number 2. Number 3 is to limit your sugar intake and increase your quality fat and vegetable content in your diet. Number 4 is to heal the gut. Make sure that you're taking a good quality probiotic, have some healthy bone broth. And then number 5 is getting good quality sleep. There's tons more. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this, if there's any I missed. Perhaps there's ones that you've found really work well for you. Just put that in the comments below. We can have a bit of a discussion and share, make it help everyone else that's listening. And that brings me to the end of the night. I am looking forward to my dinner, and I will be back online next week, and we're actually getting into some Move by Design month. So we'll, for the whole month of December, we'll be talking about things relating to movement, exercise, training. And so if you have any questions about those topics, please let me know. All right, have a good night.